Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for joining me today for Kineo Totara Office Hours. Today what we are going to be talking about is evidence custom fields. So in the past, you've always had access to add additional evidence items. We'll talk more about what they are here in just a moment. But now with Totara 9, you're going to have the ability to add in additional custom fields. Just like you can for programs, you can for certifications, you can do it for courses, you can do it for user profiles. You can do all of that and have been able to do that for quite some time with those other elements, but you haven't been able to do that with evidence. And now you can in version 9, and it's quite nice because sometimes you may need more information from those users than what you were initially gathering. So let's take a look. A little bit about myself. My name is Taylor Craig. I'm a platforms consultant here at Kineo. And what I do is I train, basically. That's a fancy word for trainer. So I get to train all of our clients. I get to work with our sales team. I get to work with our platforms team. I get to wear a lot of hats, and I really enjoy it here. A little bit about office hours for those of you who maybe haven't joined us in the past. What we do is I have about a 15-20 minute feature presentation over something Totara. We post that 15-20 minutes up to YouTube for your access, for anyone's access for that matter, so that they can learn more about the system. But then after that we have client-only Q&A time. It's about 45 minutes. I'm sitting here waiting for your questions. So any questions that you have, feel free to bring those to me. And that part doesn't go up on YouTube, but if for whatever reason you need or want that recording, let me know. I am more than happy to provide that to you because we record the entire session. I just edit out what we post to YouTube. So let's talk about what is evidence exactly. Sometimes you have a need for your learners to be able to say, hey, I went to a conference, or I did a continuing education course, but it's not on the LMS, but I did it face-to-face, and I want recognition for that. So this is going to appear inside of the learner's record of learning. That's where you're going to see it. You do have to have it turned on. You do have to have it enabled. Once you have it enabled on your site, then learners will be able to add additional evidence. So we'll take a look at what it looks like in older versions. We'll look at what it looks like in 2.7, and then we'll also take a look at what it looks like now, and we will also see if there's a report for it. So that is what we are going to look at today. So let's just kind of get this up split screenish. That might help us to kind of wrap our mind around it. So here is 2.7 on the left side of my screen with the black. Version 9 is on the right with the Smith & Jones big company logo over here. Okay, and we are looking at a person's record of learning, and we are looking at their other evidence tab. Everything about this looks pretty similar, other than that this guy's got one record, this guy's got two. But let's take a look at what it looks like when they add evidence. So in version 2.7, when I add evidence, I can name it. Okay, we can say it was conference. They can give a description. I'm going to cheat. You also can have evidence typing. So just like you can have organization types, just like you can have competency types, you can also have evidence type. Basically gives you a little more flexible reporting and allows you to kind of group things a little bit better. So in this case, we see that this guy could potentially choose from one of these three: safety training, compliance, or yearly evaluation. In this particular case, an evidence type doesn't really fit a conference, so we're going to leave that alone. Evidence link. So this is going to be a standard field, so they could provide a link back out to maybe that conference and say, hey, this is the conference I went to. Evidence institution, they could provide more information about that. They could say, you know what, I went to this conference on January 18th, that's when I was there. Oh, and I received a certificate. So they could drag and drop a certificate of completion in there. And then they can add that evidence. Once they've added the evidence, it's going to come back out here. They'll see all of this listed out. If we take a look at some of these other ones, here you'll see here this guy has also gone in. Here's a link. Here is his job aid that was received at that event. Same here. We just don't have as much, but he went to a compliance training. It was a corporate institution. He did it in 2015. So we're able to see all of that information. So let's take a look at what it looks like to add evidence in version 9. It's going to be kind of similar, but we're going to have more fields that we can use, or less fields. It's totally up to you. Okay, we'll say conference, description. Same thing for your file attachments and your date completed here. So a lot of things are very, very similar, but we will take a look at what we can do differently now. Okay, so that's going to be standard. Let's take a look at what we can change. So in the old school version, if we look at this from the administrator's point of view, underneath Site Administration, it is located underneath Learning Plans, but you turn it on underneath Advanced Features. Learning Plans, Evidence Types. So you can come in here. This is where you add in those additional evidence types. You'll notice I have no other options for evidence. I can't add anything else to this. Now if I go to my other one, this is version 9. So if I come in, go to Site Administration, again, it's also going to be under Advanced Features, Learning Plans, and Evidence Types. Same thing as I had in the other version. So I can add in the same thing, Evidence Types. We've got the ability to add those in. But now I have the ability to say Evidence Custom Fields. Okay, so in this case, we added in a description field, file attachments, and date completed. That's all pretty standard stuff. But what we can do is we can also come in here and we can say, you know what, I want to put in a URL. You can choose if it's required, if it's not, if it's auto-populated already, all of that good stuff. How that URL opens once people have put something into it. Okay. We can choose from any of these, multi-select, menu of choices, location. Location actually even gives you the ability to populate a map. Okay. You'll see here we can say, do we have a default address that we're going to always populate in? If so, this works with Google Maps, so you're aware. And I believe we have it set to the Kineo offices, or at least close. Okay, and we can save those changes. All right, so we're able to see it this way. Now let's see what it looks like when we add another evidence type in now that we have these things. So if I go to my record of learning, other evidence, and add additional evidence, say continuing ed, we've got our description, we've got our file attachments. You'll see here we've got all of our same stuff that we had. We can populate a URL. We can add additional text if we would like about that. We can provide an address if we want to. We can set a map location. We can look up a map here. We can choose what size it's going to be. Let's see. I think it's 717 West Jackson. Okay. And we're going to use that address and then add our evidence. Okay. And so now when you come in and take a look at it, you'll see here's that. We've got our location, all that good stuff. Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, what it gives you the ability to do is it gives you a little more flexibility, basically. That's really all it's doing. So in your old version, which we have somewhere over here, when you're adding a new evidence, let's see here, let's go back to our record of learning. When we add new evidence, we have standard fields that are in here that we don't have the ability to change, remove. We just got to be happy with what we've got in the older version. In the new version, you have the ability to come in here. You can make changes. You can make adjustments. You can choose which fields you use and which fields you don't use. So you have a little more flexibility in utilizing your evidence types. And kind of gives you a little more freedom as far as what you're able to do, less customization around this screen, all of that good stuff. So that's all I've got for you today. Thank you again for joining me, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to you for questions.